I just heard this quote and it says, the wise man learns from the fool, but the fool learns nothing from the wise man. And that's such a bar if you really think about that, because the fool, if you're a fool, and I was for the longest time, you're not going to learn nothing from nobody because you think you already know it all. And that's what makes us a fool, is whenever we think that we know it all, because there's so much we don't know. Have you ever asked yourself or told yourself, I don't know what I don't know? Very profound statement. I don't know what I don't know. And think about that for a second and learn from every single person you see around you. The wise man learns from the fool. The wise man observes what a fool does and learns from that and learns what not to do. And the fool already knows it all. Therefore, they're not teachable. Therefore, they can't expand. They can't evolve their mind. They can't grow because they're not willing to learn and they're not willing to accept change. You see, if you really want to know how teachable you are, then there's this scale which is called the Teachability Index, and there's two variables to it. There's your willingness to learn and your willingness to accept change. So let's just say from 1 to 10, in this moment, what is your willingness to learn? And let's just say it's an 8 out of 10. 8 willingness to learn, and you have a 10 willingness to accept change. That's 8 times 10, which is 80. So you have an 80% teachability index at this moment. And being teachable is not something like a diploma that you have forevermore. You have to you have to constantly consider your teachability index. Am I teachable? Am I teachable? Am I teachable? Every single day, whenever you're learning something or even just going through life, consider, what is my teachability index right now? And if you're a 10 and a 10, 10 times 10 is 100, 100% teachable, you're the perfect student. And it's always great to be the perfect student. And this is not even about school, but this is about in life. Be teachable and learn from what you're observing, learn from the experiences that are taking place in your life, because every single experience is a lesson, and you only take an L when you don't learn the lesson. Whenever you take an L, you just didn't learn the lesson. But whenever you take an L and you learn from that situation, you learn from that loss, then it wasn't a loss because you learned what to do next time that situation happens. Therefore, you won't fail next time because you already know what to do now. So it's such a good thing to be teachable. And like I said, always consider your teachability index. What am I right now in this moment? Willingness to learn, willingness to accept change. And the most successful people are teachable. The most successful that I know are teachable. And I'm pretty sure any successful person is teachable because they're always willing to learn and they're always willing to accept change. And whenever you're not teachable and you feel like you know it all, then you cap yourself and there's a limit. You set this limit on yourself that only you could break if you're willing to accept that you don't know what you don't know. So be open to what the wise man says and be open to what the fool says and what people do, how people act, observe how people speak, body language, how people act in certain situations, all that good stuff. And you could do this anytime, anywhere. Let's just say you're in line at the store. Instead of going on your phone and doom scrolling or not giving your deliberate attention to something, give your deliberate attention to learning. So you're just standing in the line at the store, and instead of doing something that has no benefit to you, like scrolling on your phone mindlessly. Look around you and pay attention and use your mind and use your brain and see what is going on around you. Look how people are carrying themselves, and learn about yourself by asking, would I like to carry myself like this person? Oh, that person, I like the way they carry themselves. I'm going to implement that in the way that I carry myself, so that way I could become more of who I would like to become. And observe people who don't carry themselves in a way that you would like to. And because that stands out to you, it may be active within yourself. So what I'm trying to say is, you could always be learning, and you are always learning whether you know about it or not. But whenever you're not consciously aware of the information that's flowing in your mind, it's just going in and out. You're unaware. It's just flowing right past you, and you're going to continue to hit the same roadblocks in life until you learn the lesson. Always. And I always got to consider my teachability index, because I'm not always teachable at all the time. You feel me? It's something that I'm still getting the hang of, but I'm aware now, and that's the key, is just being aware. What am I right now? Am I teachable? No. Somebody's trying to teach me something and I think I know it all. So I need to snap out of it and pay attention, because even if I do know it, they're going to say it in a way that allows me to receive it differently, from a different perspective. And I'm going to have an even better grasp on what they're teaching me than I did before. So good. Because when you're aware of your expansion and you're aware of the growth that is happening within you, it's like stretching a t-shirt, and once that t-shirt's stretched, it can't go back to the size that it was before. It's expanded, and that's how our mind works. Whenever you learn and you evolve and you're aware of that expansion and that evolution, you can't go back to who you were before. That's what growing up is. Your age has nothing to do with your mindset. Your mindset has everything to do with your mindset and how you carry yourself. So you could be 20 years old, but if you stop being teachable at 15, then you still have that same perspective and that same mindset and mentality that you did at 15, because you stopped being aware of your growth. You stopped asking questions and you stopped being teachable. Therefore, you trapped yourself in that mindset that you had at 15 years old, and you're no longer growing. You're growing every day, but you're just not aware of that growth that is taking place within you. Therefore, you're not allowing yourself to be the fullness you could be. And let's just say, on the other hand, you're 20, but you've constantly been aware of this, and you're always paying attention and learning and learning and learning, then you're way ahead of your time. You're way ahead of the majority of people around you, because a lot of people, and including myself up until recently, don't pay attention to what's happening around them. Life is just random. It's just passing by them, and they think that things just happen randomly. But whenever you know that you're in control, and you know that the thoughts you think and the attention you give to any subject causes more and more and more of that subject to become present in your life, then you begin to think differently. You begin to think more deliberately and intentionally, and give your attention to things that are wanted, that you would like to see more of, and give less of your attention to things that you would like to see less of. And life just becomes a product of what you've been and how you've been thinking. So teachable, always be. And whenever you're not teachable, you'll know, because you're gonna always consider your teachability index. In this moment, am I willing to learn, and am I willing to accept change? And you want to always ask yourself this, regardless if somebody is even teaching you something. Ask yourself this while you're standing in the line at the store. Am I teachable? You always want to be, because you always want to expand, because the more you expand and the more you keep up with the expansion that you caused within yourself, then the easier life is. The easier life becomes, the more fluid you move through life, and the more easily the things that you want could come into your experience. So always be teachable, and always consider your teachability index.